Hey, hope you're doing well. Let's go see what I did in the month of January. The first thing that happened in terms of our users is we finished giving the sensor to residents at each of the homes to test out comfortability. So right now, there's 3 residents at the independent and assisted living home, the long-term care home, and the dementia home wearing our device on their socks. We've given them 3 pairs of socks, as well as their nighttime clothes, which we've attached it to let us know how comfortable it is overall. So for the dementia home, no complaints so far, which is really interesting to see. I thought we'd get a lot of complaints from there because they might forget what the device is, but it seems like they don't even recognize it at all, which is amazing. So no complaints that we've gotten from there in terms of it being uncomfortable, anyone trying to rip it off or even recognize it in the first place. In terms of the long-term care home, with the first resident that we gave it to, we realized that we have to get the family to explain what it is to these residents because they're a lot more cognitively aware, and so they ask a lot more questions. And so what we did with the second and third resident is we just had the family be the one to introduce it to the actual resident themselves before us coming in and talking to them about it, and that worked smoothly. No issues in terms of it being uncomfortable or being hard to sleep with it or anything like that at all. And then with the independent and assisted living home, I actually just talked to the residents myself because, they're cognitively aware and they're able to tell me what they like and they don't like. And so there weren't any issues. One of the residents just said that the socks that we were giving them were big in terms of size because we just give them a generic, size right now because we're just trying to get feedback on comfortability. And so they told us, hey, this is a little bit too big. And so what I said was, why don't we just attach the sensor onto your current pairs of socks rather than me go and order, like a smaller version of socks. I could just do them on your current socks. And she was like, yeah, that's perfect. And so I put the sensors onto her socks. She had 3 pairs, which is perfect because we were going to give her 3 pairs of socks and haven't been any complaints so far. And so that's really good. And that's the little update on the user side of things. The next step from the user side is to wait until the end of February to just make sure there's no issues with it going through the washer and dryer. It's already gone through once, but want to make sure it doesn't come off. And then also to look at point-click care to see the reports of falls because that matters to us on how we can make the product as valuable as possible to the end user. So for example, if we see a lot of falls happen in the night when they get up, that means that, we should put our fall detection model to not only detect falls, but also just generally detect motion at night. Just little tweaks like that are things that we're now going to be looking at in February and understanding how these falls happen by looking at the point-click care reports. In terms of our tech, in January, we figured out the piece of location monitoring. So now when someone falls, we can tell you where that person is in the home so you can actually go to them. That matters because these homes are really large and a lot of times falls might not exactly happen in a place where someone sees. And so obviously knowing where that person is really matters. When we were talking to the director of care at the independent and assisted living home that we're working with, she also pointed out that location monitoring is pretty valuable for general health indicators as well. For example, if you see someone's taking more trips to the washroom, that might mean that they have continence issues or that they might have an early urinary tract infection. And so the information about location is just generally valuable for health information. And we also got that validated from Dr. Alex, the advisor that we have, who's the CEO of AgeWell, who also said there's lots of research around, location information being a very valuable predictor for specific physiological data. And so we got that insight in January as well. The other thing that happened with our tech is we got our sensor that tells us if you're wearing the device or not to work. And so what this does is similar to how on your iPhone, when you kind of tap your iPhone, it turns on. We do something very similar where we're able to see if you're wearing, the socks with the sensor or not. And this way, this helps us with 2 things. One, to increase our battery life because before it was just a couple of weeks, whereas now we can increase it to multiple months, which is what we were aiming for because we only turn on the sensors that you're wearing, not the ones that, in the laundry or somewhere else. And then 2, this also really helps with our false alarm rate. So a lot of our false alarms before came from when people would take off their clothing and throw it in the laundry or fold it. And so now, because we know if you're wearing it or not, we can reduce our false alarm rate that way as well. All right, well, that's it for me for the month of January. I'll see you at the end of February. Bye.